Hello, welcome back. Let's take a look at question 3 from the STAR 2019 test. The two lines graphed on the coordinate grid each represent an equation. We have two lines here, and the question is asking for an ordered pair that represents a solution to both equations. Well, at first look, this question is pretty confusing, pretty hard. But once we understand the logic behind it, you will find it is pretty straightforward and you don't even need a calculator or anything to calculate it to do the figures. So let's take a look at this one. With a graph, with a coordinate grid, we have to understand, we have to know the prior knowledge that we have learned. First, we know that each point on the graph, each point is an ordered pair of x and y. Say for this point, x is 3 and y is 5. So it is an ordered pair. And for this point, x is -6 and y is -6. So each point, any point represents a pair of x and y. Next, we have to understand that each line on the graph represents an equation or relationship between x and y. Say for this line, it represents an equation, and this line represents another equation, right? If you're still not clear about this, let's take a look back at the question 1 that we did on day 1. So this question is about the number of school lunches and the total cost, right? So each point represents a relationship between the number of school lunches and the total cost. If we connect these points, we draw a line, then this line represents a relationship, and different points represent different relationship. See? So different relationship, you have different lines. And next, based on what we have discussed above, we know that if a point falls on one line, then this point meets the equation, satisfies the equation. So this point, if it is on the line, then it satisfies the equation, or it meets the equation, it satisfies the relationship. So that's the prior knowledge that we have learned. Next, what information do we know from the question? Well, look at this, this graph. We see two lines, and also we see those two lines, they intersect at one point. There's one intersection. So that's what we know. Let's go ahead and use the known information to find out the answer. The first, based on our prior knowledge, we know the intersection falls on two lines. It's an intersection, so it falls on both lines. It satisfies both equations. It satisfies both equations. Then the x and y for this intersection, the x and y, so the x is -3. The x is -3, and the y is +3. So the intersection point is -3 and +3. It's ordered pair of x and y. Therefore, based on our finding, this ordered pair, this intersection, this -3 and 3 represents a solution to both equations. So this point, this ordered pair of -3 and 3 represents a solution to both equations. So therefore, the correct answer is B. The correct answer is B. And be careful with this C. C is wrong because it has to always to be X in the front. You cannot, if you write it in the form of YX, it is wrong. You have to write it in the form of X and X first and Y second. You cannot write it in the form of Y first, X second. That's wrong. That's wrong. Okay, so that's a solution for question 3. Did you get the right answer?